The last 24 hours have been scary, amazing, exhausting, and rewarding. You see, we opened our home and our hearts to a 15-year-old boy from the southside of Chicago. You might think this is no big deal for us. We have hosted over 100 young people over the last 2 decades. But this was a first for us, the first time we became a legal guardian of one of our guests. And I want to share some of the details of this to help those who might be considering helping someone else, whether it's being a legal guardian, providing assistance, or even becoming a foster parent to someone in need. It started on Thursday afternoon. I received a text. The text read that there was a family in crisis, 4 children, a desperate mom looking for help so she could get back on her feet. There was a number to call if we felt we could help. Well, to put this in context, almost every day we see texts like this, a family in crisis asking for help. But this one was different. It included a 15-year-old boy, and I knew that teenage boys were not welcome in shelters. Shelters are for women and young children, or they're for men. And foster families are often willing to take the little ones, but it's the older ones that really get lost in the system. So I picked up the phone and I called. Cautiously, I asked about the teenage boy. I knew the more I learned, the harder and harder it would be to say no. And I had some major doubts. First and foremost, my husband was out of town. He was traveling. There was very little information available. Southside, siblings were being separated, could be 2, maybe 3 months, needed to be picked up that evening. He had nothing but the clothes on his back. Despite all of that, I told him that I was interested, but I needed to call my husband. He was out of town. So I got a hold of him, and he said he trusted me. He was open to the idea, whatever I wanted to do. So I called him back, and I said yes. I wasn't going to be able to leave my office until about 5 o'clock, which made it a little tricky because I calculated the drive to be about 80 to 90 minutes each way. And I would be going alone to a rough part of town after dark. I was pretty nervous. I had my doubts. I started wondering if I should have my head examined. I filled my tank with gas and I loaded my dog, Greta, into the car and headed off. I would be meeting the mom and her son at a Walgreens. There were several times over the next hour and a half that I wondered if this was a good idea. I prayed along the way, I checked in with some friends, and then I hoped for the best. I was relieved to see that the Walgreens was pretty close to the interstate. It was well lit, and a police officer was working the door. So we connected. I don't know who was more nervous, me, the mom, or the son. The police officer that was there was very helpful. He helped finish some of the paperwork. I asked a few questions about his size and insurance, then hugged his mom, and we left. The plan was to head towards home, get something to eat, and then head to Walmart to do some shopping before heading home. Remember, when I left home that morning, I had no idea that I would be returning with a 15-year-old boy. The next 24 hours is a blur. We ate, we shopped, there was a lot of silence, we picked up clothes from a friend, and then we headed home to get him settled in. It was after 10 o'clock when we finally got home. Long day for everyone. Our Doberman Greta found her new BFF and wouldn't leave his side, slept with him and watched over him. Dogs are a great icebreaker and a companion in these circumstances. At least that's what we find. Now that I knew his size and a little more about what he might need, I was also able to send out requests for additional clothing from friends. It's important to say that I received many texts and calls that evening from the agency that placed him with us. They were helpful in providing reassurance, guidance, answering my questions. I had so many questions. Friday morning came really fast as we had a lot to do to get him enrolled in school. My goal was to have him in class on Monday, as he hadn't been in school since Christmas. Our local school system was nothing short of remarkable. They had him enrolled and in for placement testing before noon on Friday. The school also has a health center that was able to see him and save me another trip. We were also able to walk around the school, meet with the athletic director, start to get them familiar with the campus. Everyone was so kind and so helpful. With additional trips that day to the local barber for a haircut, Walgreens for school supplies, we picked up a few more clothing donations along the way. It made it a very full day, ending with a home-cooked meal. Tomorrow will likely include another trip to Walgreens and Walmart, along with grocery shopping, a home visit from the agency, another home-cooked meal, and perhaps a chance to relax a little bit. The first 24 hours, there was a lot of uncertainty. There's a little bit of awkwardness. My goal was to help him feel welcome and safe. Transitioning into a home with a complete stranger is not expected to be easy. The only thing he knew was my name. That was it. I wanted to do everything I could to make him feel at home. Make him feel welcome. We don't know what the next several months are going to look like, but we're open to the journey ahead of us. And I hope this video provides a little insight into the world of helping a family in crisis. The group we work with is called Safe Families, and they are an organization that helps when a family is in crisis and reaches out. It places children with families for a temporary period of time to help a parent, a family, get on their feet, stay on their feet, take care of business, and make sure that the kids are safe. If you like this video, subscribe, comment below. Not my traditional video, but hopefully I'll be able to provide you more and more insight as the journey unfolds.